Welcome to our program, Fostering Innovation and Competitiveness in the Blue Economy. I'm Andrew Gall, and I'm pleased to be hosting this with the support of Frontier IP and Emporia4KT. During the program, we had a great panel of speakers, and we had discussions where the participants joined in, discussing their particular focus on building ventures, spin-outs of technology, and growing sustainable ventures in the blue economy. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and Ørsted and how you as a large corporate work with these ventures.
Sure thing. I'm Alice. My pronouns are she and her. I work for Ørsted Ventures and Open Innovation as a senior business developer. I'm French, as you probably hear with the accent, and I'm located in Denmark. And I'm going to start with saying a few words about Ørsted as a whole, who we are, what our goals and mission is, and then follow with a few words on my team, Ventures and Open Innovation, and how we work with startups in general. So a bit about Ørsted. So at Ørsted, we have a very concrete mission, and we want to help create a world that runs entirely on green energy. We are a renewable energy company. Our day-to-day business is to build, operate offshore wind, in particular, onshore wind and solar, and green hydrogen. We're in fact the world leader in offshore wind development, and we are every day taking tangible action to create a world that runs entirely on green energy. We have the ambition to have 50 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity installed by 2030, and we do it with having sustainability at our core. What we mean by this is that we have taken science-based targets. Actually, we're almost the only one in the world to take science-based targets for specific ambitions. And very concretely, what that means is that we aim at being carbon neutral by 2025, while being fully net zero emissions for our future project by 2040. We also have a very strong target of being net zero biodiversity impact by 2030. And we've been ranked the world's most sustainable energy company in the Corporate Knight Global Index since 2019, which we're very proud of. And that's because we have a very systematic and programmatic approach to sustainability at every level of what we're doing. So that is a bit about the mission that we give ourselves at Ørsted. Then how does open innovation help? And here I'm only going to focus on open innovation. At Ørsted, we have internal innovation also existing. We have R&D departments, but I really would like to focus on how we work with the open innovation dimension. So at Ørsted, we are committed to working with innovative minds from the external ecosystem, because we very much believe that there's a lot of bright mind out there that can bring things that we don't always manage to create internally, very simply to get that inspiration and to get these different talents that are out there. So what we want to do is very simply work with these innovative minds from the external ecosystem that are ready to tackle the challenges that our industry faces and help reach our green energy and sustainability goals. So very concretely, my team, Ventures and Open Innovation, has the goal of ensuring that Ørsted fully utilizes the innovation potential of external ecosystem. So we're a bit the infrastructure that makes it possible for Ørsted to tap into this external ecosystem. So we run a specific program to systematically source and develop knowledge from technology and business opportunities from the startup environment, academia, and neighboring industries. We're an integrated part of a bigger innovation department that has different setup and vehicles. So how we do it? We work with ecosystems locally in our markets. So we have local innovation hubs. We have had one in the US that has been running in the last 3 years. We just started one in the Netherlands, and we are very much looking at potentially starting one in the UK because it's such an attractive market for us. So the way we work is simply having boots on the ground in these different markets. And boots on the ground mean working closely with academias, working with startups, accelerators, partners on the ground, and also with peers in the industry to be able to run innovation. And then from these local boots on the ground, we source this different solution and we bring it back to Ørsted's portfolio so that they can be integrated in our products across the globe. Because Ørsted has a footprint that is actually covering the entire globe. So we have most of our activities in the UK and in the Nordics, but we also have very strong developments in the US and the APAC, in particular Taiwan. So for us, it's really important that we collaborate with the best across the world in terms of external innovation and bring it back to our global portfolio to be able to actually integrate that into our existing portfolio of products. So why we think it makes so much sense, it's very simply because it enables us as Ørsted to access key solutions that we can provide the energy industry with, but also monitor our next generation tech and trends and be able to move on really fast with those. For example, in the offshore wind industry, there's a lot of discussion around floating wind. It's very important for everyone to be able to develop floating wind. So not, you could say, a turbine that are having a bottom fixed to the seabed, but having more floating type of assets. And the rationale for doing that is simply to enable to accelerate the green energy transition by being able to simply cover further territories with offshore wind. We also very much believe in the generation of local content. So we as a corporate see our role in open innovation is in bringing to the outside world the different challenges that we see, the opportunities that we see, and simply share our knowledge to enable the local ecosystems to take ownership of them and find solutions that we wouldn't have been able to develop ourselves. And by doing that, we also generate a virtuous circle of local economies, local businesses starting around the green energy industry. And we very much believe that is the right way to move forward. And then simply for the ecosystems, the way we work is that we have very different type of channels and tools we use. So we go from open innovation challenges when we have very specific problems we know we are sourcing solutions from outside, to actually helping startups to scale by providing either equity injection or supporting with pilot projects or supporting simply with expert knowledge. So for startups, sometimes simply having access to our internal experts, engineers, people that work on the ground, that see the different challenges that we have, is really important to get to the next stage in terms of scaling. So that's also something that we bring forward. On top of course, commercialization opportunities, because one of the things we do is helping startups get, you could say, supplier ready to be able to provide with products that we can use every day in our projects across the globe. And of course, what is really important for us is that the end customer, so you, me, everyone using electricity every day, can have tailor-made innovation and products to help reach our decarbonization goal, not only on the electricity side, so managing to have even more electricity coming from renewable energy, but also on the decarbonization of the other industries. So we are working very much on e-fuels, so being able to create fuels from electricity that would not produce any emission. And I believe that this is something that we all would love to see, to be able to travel without emitting more CO2 than what we're doing today. So again, it's really making sure that we have, at the end of the day, end customers in mind, and that we can really create things that people can use every day. So that's for you could say, how we work. Andrew offered a very good idea, which is simply to provide you with two very concrete examples on how we work with startups. I have two in mind that I would like to share. The first one is around an open innovation challenge that we run, I think it's a year ago now. So to give a bit of context, we did that in the UK on one of our assets. So very simply, when you build an offshore wind farm, you have this massive turbine. So you have the foundation that enable the turbine to get to be anchored in the seabed, and then you have, you could say, you have the tower with the blades at the end, and then you have something in between called a TP, like it's a way to join the two parts, and this needs to be perfectly clean when you get it offshore and when you put it on the wind farm, because it has to fit perfectly with what we have. To be able to keep it perfectly clean, we use plastic cover to be able to get it offshore and make sure that it keeps the right shape that we need, meaning that it's actually quite some plastic we use to be able to do that. And one of the projects that we have run a year ago was simply a circular economy project to say, okay, that plastic that we have to use as of today, we're also doing research on the side to use something else than plastic. But for the one that we have as of today, what can we do so that this is being recycled and reused in other part of, like in other industries or other economic sector? So we basically run this Open Innovation Challenge where we got, I think, something like 34 propositions from different people from the outside, academias, other peers, startups, to offer to use that plastic to do something else. And so we actually had two very good value propositions that we decided to move on with and that are now being developed for commercialization. One is simply using that plastic to build insulation to increase energy efficiency in building. So a startup that proposed that super cool idea that is now working on developing it together. And the other one is simply using this TP cover to create recycled, you could say like, these bags that you're using in the supermarket that are much more solid than the little ones. Okay, so that's the type of thing that, for example, that startup proposed to do with this specific plastic. So it's really having that circular economy dimension in mind, for which we actually tapped into the external ecosystem to have some very concrete solutions to find. So that's one example that is, I think, very relatable. The other one is a joint industry project that we did to reduce impact on marine mammals. So very simply, when you go offshore to build your turbine, there is biodiversity, there is animals that are in the water. And it is important for us to be able to reduce the impact that we have on these animals by understanding what are their different behaviors, how that works, and how we can actually adapt the way we build, for example, choosing different windows to build, to be able to reduce our impact on this biodiversity. And so we have done a joint industry project together with Taylor Mahan. And it's basically, Taylor Mahan is a scale-up that is working in the acoustic and visual defense industry. And they have basically developed, they had a product already existing in the defense industry that we actually jointly adapted to enable to actually monitor marine mammal impacts on what we do during construction, and to be able to reduce our impact on the local fauna. So that's a system where we basically explained we worked through an accelerator called New Lab in the US, and we basically explained the problem that we were dealing with on marine mammal and looked for solutions outside to co-build that specific system. So with Taylor Mahan, we managed to first explain very concretely what the issue was, and together build a demonstration, a pilot project that is actually very successful, that is going to be deployed across our US assets to reduce our impacts on marine mammals. So another very cool how we do that, and again, very happy.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Alice. And thank you to all of the panel there, from Mary giving the strategic overview and the UN goals, from Sarah talking about how we engage and get these academics into and these startups into a position to approach the corporates, and from Alice there talking about a very large corporate in the green energy space. And I think this applicability of open innovation, corporate venturing, I think is so important. It's what I've been doing for over 20 years, is how do we bring these things together? Because it's those inspiring technologies and new business models that are going to support these sort of changes. So you can see and hear more speakers on our panel for fostering innovation and competitiveness in the blue economy on the playlist. And also you can get more information about AIMOVAR and how to drive more effective innovation at aimovar.com.